A huge shout out to the overthinkers. An overthinker. He watches the show.
To the overthinkers, shout out my friend too.
All of our faith to this is Parker, yeah. Thank you, overthinkers.
Keep inspiring the next generation.
Shout out to the overthinkers. Tando Pela. Much love.
To my overthinkers, mamela ubuchopho ngeke kuphume buyakhula nizinja nikhokho yazini as overthink siya overachieve.
I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one. I've stolen it.
Coach Shorty, as overthinking siya overachiever. Welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is Joseph Mokwena. I am your host, and this is a place where we love South African football. We love some South African football, and every now and then we dip our toes into Europe. I promise. Tonight I'm going to dip my toe into Europe. Welcome everybody to the show. The show this week is going to be on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So on Thursday, I will not be here for the show. It's a very interactive show. It's a place where you can jump in and speak to me live here about whatever it is we're speaking about. And that means by pressing that little button that says multi-guest there on TikTok. You have to be following me and have to join me here live. You can jump in and we can have a conversation about whatever it is that we're going to be talking about. Now, guys, today there's a couple of topics. But I wanted to be fair. I wanted to be fair to my Mamelodi Sundowns fans, the people who watch the Mamelodi Sundowns games, because last night, unfortunately, my internet got cut very quickly into the show, and we got through ePirates, but we couldn't get into Mamelodi Sundowns. So I'm gonna open up just for 30 minutes and allow Mamelodi Sundowns about the joy they felt in beating Chiefs Galaxy 4-1. Then we're going to go directly into some breaking news stories. So just so that we know, we're going to start off with Mamelodi Sundowns. We're going to go into breaking news. There's a couple of stories I want to discuss there very shortly. Then we're going to end off with some Eurowatch. Because when last did we speak about European football here on the channel? I don't think we've done it this year. So I want to know what you guys feel about your teams in Europe, and then we'll go from there. But like I said, if there are any Masandawana that want to jump on quickly and use some time to tell me a little bit about what they thought about their game since yesterday we got cut so short, please feel free to request. And we can have just a quick conversation about Mamelodi Sundowns before moving on to some of the new developments that have happened over there. So I'm gonna give you guys 2 minutes, Nyana. And if nobody jumps on in 2 minutes, then I will move on. Now, Mamelodi Sundowns, just a recap, played Chiefs Galaxy to a 4-1 win. They beat Chiefs Galaxy 4-1. They had 16 shots, 7 on target. They had Chiefs Galaxy had 3 shots, 1 on target. Mamelodi Sundowns is 69% of the possession. And created 5 big chances and missed 2 of them. Then, of course, Shasha scored before 1 minute was done. In the first minute, Shasha scored. Reina scored in the 7th and 48th. Adams in the 38th, and then Motaung was able to score for ETS Galaxy in the 10th minute. Guys, remember, this is just because last night I got cut a little bit short because of my internet. So if I don't get anybody jumping in for the Sundowns talk, I will move on to the next ones, and we'll have a conversation about some of the breaking news that are happening. They're focused on Skukune and Chiefs at this point. Okay, guys, going once, going twice, going 3 times. So let's move on. I'm going to move on now to some topics that I want us to discuss. Okay, so breaking news. Coach Vusmuzi Vilakazi has tendered his resignation over at Amazulu. So that means that Atazwani will become the sole head coach while Coach Vusmuzi moves on. Another story that I want to touch on is Dan's Malisela getting moved on from Imarumo Gallants, which is something that we all know was going to happen. We all know it was going to happen at some point, but he says that he knew nothing about it, and now he is going to be replaced by Abdesalam Wadu, who is a Moroccan former Fulham player, former AS Vita and Lotto Popo coach. him and Mulifintseki have been moved on. Then, lastly, the PSL has finally made a ruling on Royal AM in terms of the Nedbank Cup. Royal AM has been kicked out of the cup, and apparently the games are going to continue this weekend with some of the teams agreeing to make some time to just get the matches out of the way. Of course, Mamelodi Sundowns is waiting for the winner between Kukune and the winner between Milford and Royal AM, but it will be Milford versus Kukune, and we'll go from there. But let me see who is here. Jump in, let's have a conversation. And then, of course, we're going to go into Eurowatch later and speak about how your guys' European teams are doing. Hey, Hansel!
Mr. Oti, how are you, my brother?
I'm good, and you, my brother.
I'm well.
Ke batla go botsa pele ka taba ya Tendency, man. Kyo Tendency
Yeah.
has been fired, as well as Mulifintseki. How do you feel about how the club acted? Apparently now they didn't tell them that this was going to happen.
Mr. Oti, that's a bitter pill to swallow, given that Dance is a South African coach, a coach who have developed a lot of South African players. Some of them are national, some of them were national team players. Personally, I think these teams, they don't really respect Dance, because I think when I was seeing the state, they are saying is one of the most, if not the most fired coaches in the PSL. And to be honest, Dance is not a bad coach. He's very good. If you see how he plays his football, you think, no, this guy deserves a better, bigger team with a lot of resources. Because in all of the teams that you've coached, they've been under-resourced. And once they are doing well, they fire him. Once they are doing bad, they call him back. Once they are doing bad, they fire him. Once they are, it's been a roller coaster with him. I'm not happy about the issue of Dance Malisela, to be honest. I just hope maybe it goes to the ocean. Atlambe Isnyamo Zoba right, because he's been fired left and right. It's painful. It's painful, Mr. Oti. According to me, I think he's not being respected enough. He's not being celebrated enough. But what can you say? Teams want results, and sometimes results, they don't usually come when the competition is high, especially if you're under-resourced. So
Mara, is it about results, or is it that man, Abram Sillo, owner of Marumo Gallants, knows that man, Hashapa transition inyana, he knows who to call, and is it maybe not that teams don't respect Dance, but now he's that role, now that's his role, because Chipa used to do this to him, now Marumo Gallants is doing it to him, Royal AM did it to him for a little bit. Should he be more respectful of himself at this time?
Yeah, I think for me he's too available. I think he's too available, and he's too maybe eager to be in the PSL, that maybe allows certain things to happen to him. I think if he respected himself enough, and I think for someone to respect you, you have to respect yourself first, how you carry yourself. Because if he lays down the ground rules, I don't think teams will be doing what they are doing to him also. But I also blame the teams also on the part that they are playing. But it's 50-50. I blame him, and I also blame the teams that they are firing, the chairmen and everything.
Okay, I'm going to come back. Stay on, Hansel. Let me go to Sancho. Sancho, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Mr. Oti, and you?
I'm okay, man. Fired again, Dance. How do you feel about this?
No, uTenten mzali angazi noma umthida akakho mnandini lokho zenini esikhwameni, but lento leyo ukuthi every time umuntu ephansi bakudinga mase be right bekuxhosha.
Yeah,
I think kumele ahlakaniphe na ku contract yakhe le ayifake le ndaba leyo ukuthi ima is 3 years kube 3 years, no matter because umthida ama results ya deliver.
yeah. Manje, many respect, and maybe he must go into Africa. What must he do from here? Gutachinche le situation yakhe.
Yabona Mr. Oti, enye into yabona ma umsebenzi ma ungenamsebenzi kahle kahle yabona ma imali ngekho, you are forced to do ezinye izinto that you are not comfortable with them, because at the end of the day you have to unabantwana that you have to feed, and then we have a family you have to take care of. So we can say he must respect, but at the same time asazi ukuthi ifamily yakhe injani yabo, because masingamadoda we have family first and fact, Momere ukuthi bakuthatha kanjani, sometimes you have to look out after your family.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think of this thing of foreign coaches coming in after man abo 10 bawashange caretaker bababambisanyana, because this move for this Abdesalam Wadu, it can't be something that started last week, man. It must have been conversations that have been happening.
Yabona lento leyo ukuthi thina yabona masingabodaki, we believe ukuthi umlungu comes with a change. Similar to something that happens at Sundowns and then Orlando Pirates, we see Kaizer Chiefs. So nama smaller team, they are copying to those bigger ones. Okay, if ever malaba benza kanje, maybe Lati, can we try this and see if we can get something out?
Yeah.
So if ever laba bakhulu, they implement that thing. Okay, we hire a local coach. The smaller ones also will do that same thing. I hate Lega CMLI is on the thingy. So I think I'm a smaller team. They must stop copying a bigger team because of I don't know whether it's a style of play or it's they want results quick.
Okay. Let me bring it to Bongs. Bongs, Orenka Tabaya 10-10s. Welcome.
Hi, OT.
How are you, my brother? Welcome. Yeah.
It's the same old story. Hi. He gets fired. They get 2, 3, 4 coaches. Those coaches fail. Then they give him a call again. And then coaches the team, saves the team from relegation. And then her team is struggling during the season happen. They fire him again. Recycling in our league always same old story. Same thing happened at Chippa United. Called him back.
Mara, we look at Sajwang Tabayena, man.
Man, Dendens Malisala coaching style high. High honor it we said it on top. Ki coach kgonang ho sebetsa via a survival thing. O kgona ho save the team from relegation rather than keeping the team at the top of the league or being competitive.
Mara, lebaba competitive. You look at, we just spoke about Siema. Siema, Anka Pulukwani, Aisa top 5, Bamofire. Atuha ayakos kukune ainka are top 4 bamofire alena end of the season or contract guy fella end of the season. Now he comes back again. Has a husinse ufikile coach ena Peter Ibala atshwara ke ditaba tsa hae, now back to Siema. Does it matter results or is it just to rekidi caretaker fela?
Well, I feel like results do matter because look at what Sundowns do. How's I deliver? Flemingberg sends you out. So, in the small teams, they also want to achieve something rather than just become a team in the survival position.
Yeah.
So, for the teams, they really want to achieve because they are tired of always being relegated and coming back because now they are known as a yo-yo team.
Okay. Let me bring in Mr. Custard. Mr. Trinkeris Kotane, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Mr. Uti. How are you?
I'm good, my brother. Tell me, how do you feel about this 10-10 situation? Fired again by Murumo Kalans again. I think it's the 3rd or 4th time they're doing this.
No, it's a sad situation, Mr. Uti. If you could look at his coaching history, he is now the most fired coach in the division. Yeah, but now he always goes for teams that are not stable. You know, they only want him when they are transitioning into the first division, and then when they found their feet, then they fire him. Can you hear me, Mr. Uti?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Hello?
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Network, Mr. Uti.
Oh, network. Okay. Let me do this.
Can you hear me?
Come back in. I'll let you back in. So request again. Let me go to Mkomko.
Data OT.
Mqoba bamfire futhi lo muntu man. Bamfire no Mulifintseki on top. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I will always try and defend South African coaches. I actually believe that the club owners in South Africa are so hell-bent on making us believe that foreign coaches are better than our South African coaches. I mean, as a South African coach, you can't even lose 3 games in a row. You just know that you are gone. So I think it's the way these club owners believe that if you get a foreign coach, he's going to do better than a South African coach. So that's why you see this recycling of South African coaches from team to teams. You'd see Uten Malisela is going to coach another team. In maybe in 6 months' time, he would have gotten another job in South Africa. So it goes back to the club owners in South Africa. You can tell, man, they don't have much confidence in South African coaches. They actually it seems as if they set much higher standards for them than the foreign coaches. So I'm so disappointed because these people deserve a chance. If they don't coach in South Africa, where are they supposed to go and coach? And if they don't get the experience in South Africa, you were making an example of the other guy who actually made it Ipulukwane to be at the top 5. But
OCM,
yeah, OCM. But you can tell, man, got a treatment. We are always treated like second best all the time. And I don't know how we are going to change this because, I mean, like the likes of Pitso Mosimane and Rulani, we would assume that they would have changed the minds of these club owners, their attitude in the way in which they treat our local coaches. But it seems as if they are not changing. They keep on treating them the same way. And we need to be worried.
Is there anything that the coaches can do? Because at the end of the day, I know that, we're looking at the clubs, but when the club puts a 6-month contract in front of you, what can you do in 6 months? When your representatives keep answering the phone, or Lewa, I know you answer the phone for Bomaruma Khaleds over and over and over again. What would you advise them to do? U10 now.
You see, now that's the issue in our OT, because you are saying these guys are given, for an example, a 6 months contract. Already you are under pressure to provide something because they're actually giving you this job to change something or to bring something in the team. But 6 months is not even enough. Do you think they can give a foreign coach 6 months to try and change things? They would never do that.
Would a foreign coach accept 6 months?
Exactly my point. I don't think that would happen.
Yeah.
Because now they know and they understand the circumstances as a South African coach that already you are home, and they treat you like you need the job. Let's be honest. They don't treat you like a professional that you are as a South African coach. It feels like these club owners are treating them like it's handouts. If they give you a job, it means then they are doing you a favor. That's why we have an issue. That's why I'm saying I'm so sad because we've seen Umalesela produce something in the past. We've seen how he's able to make the boys play and come up with strategies to try. You get what I'm trying to say? He's got something to give, man, to South African football. That's why I'm saying, if we don't learn from the likes of Rulani and Abo Pitso Mosimane as South African coaches, where are we going to learn? When are we going to accept that we can actually produce our own? We just need to give them a chance. Let's give them good contracts. Let's make sure that we give them the time to try and produce something for our teams. Don't panic. Don't pretend like you just want this guy to win all the time, because you know very well that you don't do that to the foreign coaches.
You know what, I'm going to go to Hansel just now, but what I want to jump in and say is, guys, these are not real jobs that they're being given. Mulifintseki was hired halfway through the first half of the season, and now he's fired as the technical director. What job can he do as a technical director within half of a season? You look at the coaches. You're not given transfer windows. You're not given any of those things, but you're expected to do so much. But on the flip side of that, if I call you and you answer and you come when you're called, remember how 10 got into this job? Coach 10 got into this job via pushing Dylan Kerr out of a job. So it feels like it's dog eat dog with the coaches, but then they respect the chairman. I remember when he got fired from Ibaroka, he said that no, chairman, there are people advising chairman must stop listening to these people. It's never directly at the people to say, hey, and maybe Shem, it's job security to know that they'll phone you tomorrow. But for me, I look at them and I say, Marakosh Dance, you've got so much experience. Can't you go do this in Botswana? Kiora Morebuli is now the Botswana national team coach. He's played CAF Champions League football. Can't you go to Tanzania? Kibabo Fadlu Davids. Fadlu Davids is now leading the log, if I'm not mistaken. He was unbeaten last I checked with Simba after a very successful spell in Morocco. You look at the white coaches that passed through here, the white European coaches that passed through here, right? Think about it. Think about Sid Ramovic. Where's Sid Ramovic right now? Raja. By way, CRB, sorry, Belouiz dad. By way of young Africans. You look at Fohloza. Fohloza went from township rollers to Galans, to Amazulu, to Horoya. One of the bigger teams, historically bigger teams in the country, in the continent.
OT, can I say something?
Pirates. Okay, yeah, Bongs?
What about Benny from Manchester United to Kenya right now?
That's what I'm saying. Benny could have been here crying. Benny could have been here crying that, hey, Pirates doesn't want me, Chiefs doesn't want me, Cape Town City, hey. He made a plan. So is it too much to ask for some of our South African coaches to just, guys, it's fine to go elsewhere, man. It's okay to go elsewhere. About 4-0, and Ten's dreams of taking over Pirates. He's spoken about it. But Pirates will never take 10. It doesn't matter how good he does. So go elsewhere, man. And stop signing these 6-month contracts. 6 months. What are you going to do in 6 months? And do you know how many coaches are on 6-month contracts right now? Think about Vilakazi. He was on a 6-month contract with Amazul. Before that, they were on 6-month contracts elsewhere. There was a rumor that Ukosh Tentes didn't even have a contract at Royal AM. But in any case, I want to move on to Hansel. Hansel, I want to speak about Ukosh Fusmuzi Vilakazi. It's now been announced a couple of hours ago that he's leaving Amazulu. Coach Atazwan is going to become the head coach of that team. How do you feel about the sole head coach of that team? How do you feel about this move?
Okay, Mr. Oti. Hey, for me, I think Coach Muzi is setting the standard because it seems like if he's not happy somewhere, he moves on. He's not one of those coaches that would stay in a place where he's not happy. He moves on from Golden Arrows. He was at Richards Bay to another team, and then now. Yeah. So it seems like he's one of those coaches that is making a statement, or if I'm not happy with what you're doing, or if I'm not happy at the team or with my contract, I move on. Because we hardly see this with coaches. We see it with players and other technical stars, but not with coaches. So if he was not happy and he thinks his move is best for him, I don't see a fault there. You always have to look out for yourself.
What do you say to people that say that he jumps around too much? Like you said, from Arrows to Chipa as technical director, from Chipa to Richards Bay, from Richards Bay to Amazulu DDC, then first team. What do you say to people that say that he's jumping around too much?
Mr. Ott, you know, in English they say a rolling stone gathers no moss, right? If you keep moving from one place to another, then you'll end up not having the impact that you want. But in this day and age, I think moving around until you find a position that is suitable for you, if it's in your benefit, I think you should do it, because it does not help staying in a team where your future is uncertain or you see these things are not working out. You don't have to force things, because you end up being one of those coaches that will be discarded by teams and end up not getting jobs. So for me, as long as the move is necessary and you see or it's going to give you something else in the future, I don't see a problem with him. Yeah, you must do what's best for you, regardless of the talks outside. I agree. Us as fans, we only see him when he's at training or when he's at the game. We don't know what's going on behind scenes. So he has more information about what's going on than us. So I don't really have a problem with him doing what he does. As long as he lives in a peaceful manner and he does not badmouth the teams, I don't see a problem there.
Do you think Coach Arthur's going to do well? It seems that whenever Coach Musmuzi leaves the place, they tend to go into tough times. When he left Golden Arrows, there was even a 7-match losing streak, if I'm not mistaken. People, we saw it happen. Richards Bay is still struggling, taking and Anyane. How do you feel about Coach Arthur there? Hello.
Personally, I think it will depend on the mentality of the players. I guess sometimes there are players that plays for the coach, and then there are players that plays for the team. So if you have those players that plays for the coach, obviously the team is gonna suffer. But if you have players that plays for the team, I don't think it will be much of a problem, because in football, change is inevitable. You cannot say things are gonna stay the same. We're gonna have the same coach. We're gonna have the same players. The rotation is always gonna be there. So and also his contribution to the team, it will depend how big was it, and is Atazwana going to get the same support from his assistant, or are they going to bring in another coach to be a co-coach and all those kind of stuff? Because most of the coaches, when they come to a team, they come with their own strategies, their own model of play, their own structure. So what you call this, adapting to that may cause a little bit of a disarray in the team, but hopefully they get him an assistant that will come and complement him. I don't think there will be much problems given all the factors that I've mentioned are met.
Okay. Bongs, how do you feel about Coach Musmuzi leaving teams, resigning, Amazul?
Musmuzi, taba ha yona, it had to happen because you can't have two bulls in one kraal. Because remember what happened at Sundowns? Rulani le Mangoba couldn't complement each other as coaches. They had to fight each other who is the coach and who is the assistant. So it's the same thing in Ezala Amazul. I think Musmusi felt no, he wanted to be the leader of the team rather than Zwani being the coach.
Can I ask you, there was rumors a couple of weeks ago that Amazulu was trying to bring in a foreign coach, and that Coach Atazwane and Coach Kanu's contracts were not well, their jobs were not secure. Do you think that maybe this might be him acting before the axe falls, because their contracts end at the end of the season?
I think so, because now no, teams are now trying to get foreign coaches rather than believe in their own coaches in South Africa.
Yeah. Okay.
So I feel there now on an ex is coming, so our actor first I try before they kick me out.
Bongs, you're a Chiefs supporter, and you've seen Coach Zwane up close. We saw him for a season. Do you think that Coach Zwane is going to do well without Coach Kanu?
Zwane unalo who struggle at some point, but considering the fact that coached the Chiefs and still made it to number 5, I think he can still do good. Amazulu still do have quality players. They can still help the team or idule survive.
I just want to jump in before I bring him. Go on, Box.
So can I believe you know handle the job?
Okay. Guys, I just want to point to we still don't know what the details behind this move. So according to the club, it's for personal reasons. And that is why coach is moving on. They didn't state anything. Coach hasn't said anything. It's literally just a couple of hours since it was announced. So I also want to come in from that side. This is purely speculation what we're speaking about. We still don't know exactly what happened. Just to make sure. Let me go to Mkomko. Coach Vilakazi, maybe now on his fourth job? I'd say fourth job in the last 2 years, year and a half.
Yeah, it's I don't know what to make of the situation there, because if you think about the co-coaching thing, I've never been a fan of it, and I don't believe it works. Think about it. You've got 2 supervisors at work. All of them expect you to report to them. How is that going to work out?
Yeah.
These are players. These are people with personalities. They need someone to take charge. So between the 2 of you, who is taking charge? I don't actually believe that this thing work. Actually, if Uvusumuzi is the one who actually pulled out of this thing, I commend him for this decision, because if you feel like you're not used to your full capacity as a coach, then why are you there? You get what I'm trying to say? Don't be desperate to be in a PSL team if you are not being, if you are not able to actually do what you're supposed to be doing. That's actually a good decision in my opinion. And Coach Arthur, I don't know, man. Let's just say, now that you are in charge, let's see what you can do. You are not at Kaizer Chiefs anymore, a team that you used to play for. You are in a different environment. Now let's see what you are made of. Let's give Coach Arthur Zwane a chance, because they are both South African coaches. At least now you've got someone that is leading the team instead of having 2 coaches. Let's just give Arthur Zwane a chance and see if he can succeed.
But there was hem-hems of a European coach, or a different coach that Amazulu was looking at, and the contract ends at the end of the season. Do you trust, even after the conversation we had about Coach Tentens, do you trust that Ubab Zungu is going to do right by Arthur Zwane, or is it Coach Kanu maybe pulling a parachute before the crash?
I actually believe that there's a plan to get a foreign coach. You know, when a club owner uses 2 coaches to coach a team, it tells you something. He's actually looking for someone to come and replace these 2. So we've seen this happen all the time. Remember when Ace Kus and Dr. Kumalo used to do this thing as Kaizer Chiefs? So every time they were there for just a few months, and then someone comes from overseas. So I actually believe the rumors that there's a coach champ. But what I'm trying to say is, if you are given a chance as a coach, it doesn't matter when I OT. I know we spoke about the 6 months contract and so forth and so on and so forth. You still your influence can still show if you got this. So let's just be patient with Coach Arthur and see if he's going to do something for the team. But if then there's a foreign coach that is coming, it won't matter. Whether he wins or he doesn't, it won't matter.
Okay, let me go to Kuma. Kuma, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yeah. Show staff. We are halang. What am I going to
Ow, what can you use, man?
My bra, keep busy. That's why I get selective. But otherwise, that's a lot. There is one. Can I coach you come Zulu?
Yeah, coach. Kanu Tamaile. Who resigned?
Arwai
Abulele. It was just an hour ago, just 2 hours ago, I think, 2 or 3 hours ago.
Oh, okay. Oh, I am Zulu. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I say she mara kalera like I'm Zulu.
Yeah.
Kicking and fact, like Neritz or in the past, Amazulu can beat one of the 3 big teams. No, fella Amazulu. Mara, because of Renali emotional attachment to Coach Wari, because he's a friend of the show. It's not a good move for him, because right now he's moving from team to team. Ishinga to proving something. Ashinga finaling something. Fine, he survived relegation, Mara. It's like being the best of the West, if you know what I mean, no one. So, again, like, let me let this picture behind you is very appropriate, because right now, Nagari is going to be the next dance. And there is not a title that you want to aspire to have. So, Afazwani nagi mitile mona, honestly, I understand the Horeke legend, the Kona Churena. I understand he's the local guy, Mara. When will this experiment end? Because now, why would you choose him over him? Experience, or maybe the club wants to go a different way. Maybe go develop their own people, because we know when it comes to young footballers, he's the guy for you. But let's give it a chance. Now I'm thinking, right now, just another 4 of the guys. I don't know any succession plan. Maragiri never know who really interview or Mara based on Zwane's record. not this move, I would rather have Dance to come and take on and actually get a proper contract. Wabon. So, because hege level the options are Amazulu. Okay, fine. I understand Hore, the natural move is to upgrade is to promote Zwane. I get it, he knows the place, not let that attachment and to keep the momentum going. But in the same breath, I believe in fear, embarking shock value, because law can actually rejuvenate a team into doing something. Because there are no attachments, emotional attachments, allegiance. Because you know how our football players are. They've got so much power. They always wanna be aligned to a certain play, to a certain coach. But as Dalo, all the wanna fight bagels. So I don't know. I don't want to say it's a bad move because it's very understandable and people can really fight for this decision, but it's not a good move for AmaZulu as a whole. Am I making sense?
No, I hear you. Let me jump in. I always say, guys, the signs are always there. No, I still point to the 6-month contract. I still point to, yes, your co-head coaches. There were rumors a couple of weeks ago, and Coach Kanu, we know him to be somebody that, man, if things are not all the way right, he will leave. Now, again, I will repeat, we don't have any deep facts about this outside of the club saying that it's for personal reasons. It's not new what we've heard, because we've heard about, for example, Coach Kwanele Kopo leaving Chipa United for personal reasons. Even though his contract ended, the club tried to come back and he said no. I think the writing is usually on the wall with the local coaches. And I worry a little bit for Coach Zwane, because I don't know if he's going to get re-upped or he's going to get a new contract or he's going to go further. Remember, contract ends end of the year. So I wouldn't be surprised if now he finds himself either in a supporting role for a European coach or out of a job. So I personally can't trust the chair people in the league. I can't say that they've given us long-term planning. I can't say that they've given us the type of returns that you can give trust to. So I'm not sure. But anyway, let's cap this news segment off here. Hansel Barry Royal AM has been booted out of the Nedbank Cup. So they're out. The game that they were meant to play with Milford proceeds. Milford would then, I believe, play Kukune, and then the winner of that is going to play Imamory Sundowns. How do you feel about this situation, Royal AM, and now them getting kicked out of the Nedbank Cup?
Mr. Oti, it's been long overdue, according to me. They took too long. Now the round of last 8, it should have been concluded by now.
Yeah,
because they've been delaying the processes. Even not only the Cavs but also the PSL. I hope they do the same thing in the PSL matches, because now it's gonna put the league in disrepute at the end of the season. Hopefully, yeah. I wish PSL learns from this, and then each and every end of the season they conduct an audit of teams to see if they can be able to maintain themselves and their financial muscles that they've applied to, so that they can carry them throughout the season, because it's going to cause fights between the PSL and also the sponsorships, because when a sponsor sponsors the league, it sponsors for 16 teams. Now you might end up having 15 teams at the end of the league, which is not what they agreed upon, right? And also other teams, and they're going to complain. Some other teams might play against Royal AM, some other teams may not play against Royal AM. Now a plan must be, now the PSL must come up with a plan on how to fix that error, which is something that I think is a bit problematic. They must just do away with Royal AM this season and finish the league with 15 teams. It's been long overdue, Mr. Oti.
So I wanna go into the sale of Royal AM. Apparently, Royal AM is going to be auctioned. Allegedly, Royal AM is going to be auctioned with a starting bid price of 15 million rand.
Yes.
Would you buy Royal AM right now if you were somebody with a lot of money?
Not in my wildest dream, Mr. OT. Even if you're buying Royal AM at 15 million, it has a lot of debts. That 15 million is only for SARS. There are still players' contracts. There are still players that are being owed money. So at the end of the day, you might end up paying around 100 million or so. So I would not inherit such a team because it has a lot of problems that the new owner must adhere to. So no, I wouldn't.
Mara Mam Kize did it when she bought Celtic?
With the Celtic issue, it was different. It was not the same as this one of Royal AM. Royal AM has a lot of scandals. It's owing a lot of people. Yes, and also there are disrespects between them and their sponsorships, the municipality and other sponsorships also. So now you would have to account for those things. So the 15 million does not really do justice. It's just for the SARS part. It's not for everything else.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me go to Bongs. Bongs, Orinka Tabena man. Nedbank Cup, Royal AM has been kicked out. We finally have a resolution. How do you feel about this decision that the PSL took?
Like Hansel Tabua, it's been long overdue because whenever a mystery process, Sundowns needed someone never to bapalan lebona. So Royal AM studying to because in a lady coloto tengata and idiente kaubani. They were showing off their money problems. Remember the time Haneva Pala Chiefs, right? The day Mamkiza Anakala offered the players chalete in the stadium after the game. Kiana Mukinedite Masho about her Mamkiza Unka Chelte Kayena, Yor Ahone, or Patala the players. During after the game, Center Antafela Chelte cash all over, throwing it to the players and showing off. So now, Emukinedite Mashamangata, Ranumba, Bota for Yano Nanka Chelte Kai, or Ahono Patala, those players. So now SARS found out to know on alle the scandal stating they're happening in Devon, which I cannot talk about right now. So now man kids on alle problem stop leaky in the other side. Stop leaky in the other side. Or distribute in the league and leaky learner a rebel resolution to what's going on because now the team teba petting Royal AM the twenty the the points both Pirates need those points to no compete with Sundowns. They can't compete with Sundowns because Royal AM is still leaky and game is the important to know.
But then can we argue hore PSL Leona Nisina plan? At this time, after seeing Bloemfontein Celtic fall away, after seeing Vert, TTM, after seeing so many teams die because of finances, Swallows last season, shouldn't they have had a plan, man, for if something happens middle of the season, raise something?
Well, they should have had a plan, but what plan can they have if the teams decide themselves to save themselves by getting sponsors who want to help the team survive? Because most of the teams, like Swallow say, the sponsor to a point where now they had to leave the league and had to go to a lower division league. Some of the teams that on a level Celtics had to be sold too because they didn't have a sponsor in the Tabakono Bafachelet. So case in your Royal AM, it's a SARS problem also, and it's a
Okay. Let me go to Kumo. Kumo, what do you think about this Royal AM expelled from Nedbank Cup and then also apparently about to go on auction for a minimum of 15 million rand, allegedly?
Sad day for South Africa. But then again, thinking, I've got the perfect song in mind. Why it's been like Mickey Mouse. Giddy Mickey Mouse, PSL Giddy Sorogisi, Giddy Guy. They never have the affairs in or the give Mickey Mouse straight the gum. Listen, you know what a Royal AM situation is not a unique thing. Different to go at this time the SARS on Kalohan. So you should have provisions. You should have provisions that are what happens when a team doesn't get money and yada yada during mid seasons, because you also have people that you have to answer to. You've got your Nedbank, you promise them 16 team format, or it was going to be competitive. Maybe some people actually wanted to sponsor you because of Royal AM, despite of what you guys might think of Mamkize and Andy Limpisane's ways that are very entertaining, and we will never have such another owners like them, because they
Mara,
brought in a
le
new
tlhophi
cohort
man
of
kumo le
Tlhophi-
tlhophi man
Tlhophi wa Bora.
a ka para di-cox le ena e kenye man
Tlhophi wa Bora. Man, Tlhophi ke square man, wa ntlhaloganya. Na Bora loko sekolong gape le this meet yaka. Tlhophi yena that thing ha jive, I spend the 1 million ka di music video. I never Bora. But yeah, back to my point, and I don't know, am I still audible?
yeah, he's still audible.
Okay, I think so. Yeah, utlwella ne. We say for the longest of time we thought the PSL doesn't have its due diligence. Like I found out Pila before you buy a PSL set of status, they have to go through rigorous searches or checks in order for you to fit the criteria. Obviously, they knew how much money you had to invest, which was there because you had to prove it. And happy. Most of the teams, even though their shortfalls was not publicized, well, it's already if a team is struggling, they can give you an upfront on your grant, so to tie you up for that month. In this situation, it was never going to be possible for Royal AM because of why? SARS is a personal matter. And remember, Andile and the mom resigned from the foundation that owns Royal AM. So if they had to do it, was gonna set a new precedence. But then again, we also have to go back to when she was actually supposed to win the league. Something happened, like a situation up where the Bajila Valley, but she refused to play the playoffs because her court case was still in court, the sharp judicature again. But the league proceeded to go on, and as a result, that's when she bought the status. Well, had she actually wasn't cheated by a point or whatever 3 points, she could have won. So 50 million enga investile pila go their club. Because if you look at the facilities that all AM, they are compound. It's one of it's very good. Koramon like this person really had a passion for football. As much as we make fun of her and we say, don't fall, she's flashy. Guys, we're not going to debate on how people should spend their money. So I'm still gonna blame the PSL. Sharp, obviously, because
I want to know, for example, the English FA. Kana Abramovich gets into trouble, or there's the Ukraine thing and the war and all of that stuff, and they're trying to get him out, and his assets are frozen and things like that. The FA jumped in and said, okay, we're going to run the team. We'll take over some of the running. We'll obviously not go as expensive as what Abramovich was doing, but we'll make sure that, things like travel, things like salaries and things are paid, and all of that stuff is done while we go and look for an owner. It's almost like once you trip past a certain point, we will take over it, and then we will go and sell the team and give you your portion, but we have to make sure that this is a going concern. Why didn't we see? Why don't we see these type of things in our league, especially with the history that we've had? I mean, you speak about the situation, Royal AM and Bloemfontein and Celtic. I believe the deal was finalized 2 weeks before the league was meant to start. And she had to move everybody and inherit all those contracts and take them to KZN. Why are we waiting, man, until the last minute, man, Kumo? With everything.
Seka's delay. The Soriki, I tell you. And Yana, she seems to always get the shorter end of the stick. Like, again, she had to inherit the entire squad. Yeah, Bloemfontein Celtics. Marabo Vert, it's like she's being punished for being a woman. I can even take it there. Ne? Back to your point, the FA had to make sure everything runs smoothly until they get an owner. The PSL should have done that. And if it was a money issue, I get whenever they sell this, they can actually recoup their money and actually get a markup. Because there was always going to be a buyer for a PSL status or a PSL team. And the other thing, my guy, PSL is unique. Who goes on live and gives 2 million of the league to his friend for birthday? So now you wanna argue common sense in naga PSL? You got half a So PSL my only thing is that they should have made provisions or rules and enforce them early. Because right now we keep on asking ourselves why really number 5 we should have been number 1 in terms of like the league rankings. Admin SO because uncle and clear mandate. Because we've got the best constitution, we've got the best rules, we've got arguably one of the best lawyers or whatever. Mara, when it comes to implementation, Rapala, PSL at this point you would say it's run like a government department. And that's the only issue. Maybe it's time people basakreya like what term is he on now? 90 mang.
It's okay.
Why tlhalohanya o lapile batho bao ba nna sina ile wa tlhalohanya banna ba lapile ba sa khona one like I wanna this thing ya hore Mamkise no matter how controversial she was but the factory PSL are not clear rules and they were not effective and they were not effective like in terms of like they were not speedily. This thing could have been resolved by Rapila. So I'm so sad. Now you're gonna sell her. Like, do you know how much money she spent there? Money that she wasn't supposed to spend in the first place. Now you're gonna spend 15. Arguably, 15 million is a drop in nose. Well,
15 million is the first division status. It's not a PSL.
50 million L could have paid off SARS debt. And again, it wants to happen. The PSL in Nabofaro, get dictator, give Mussolini, Hitler. Why would you force her to sell it for 15? Who gives you that right? Oh, I got the most money because like assets style. I wanna like the movable assets. You can sell even you can even argue a le house you can sell it for cheap. You're trying to get your money cheap. Mara, you know who the minimum 50 million status is sitting. And like you're gonna try and get the most money.
Marakumo, isn't that the problem here? Because how do I put it? SARS doesn't have access to the status. Because technically those things are meant to be separate. So the way I sort of understood it was that the 15 million was going to be more for the asset itself, like the grounds, the what. Mara, the status still remains sub-PSL, if that makes sense.
No. Okay.
Isn't that the issue that, man, there's a separation there? Because my thought was that SARS would come in and pay the 15 million, take the asset, do whatever you do, finish the season, and then sell the status. Similar to what they did with the Bloemfontein Celtic, I believe, right? So isn't that, man, part of the reason why also PSL has their hands tied a little bit? Because in as much as they have say on the status, they don't have say on the asset. And now because those things are tied, hubima.
Yeah, actually okay, Bon. First of all, SARS can say we are not in the business of selling statuses. On the other hand, hence why they don't really care about much. I agree we don't know who we are. But then again, status is so although you are the custodian of the status, but status is so in itself is an asset. And that's the other thing. Like we had this conversation early on in our group, so we're trying to establish is Royal AM a PTY entity, or is Royal AM an MPC? It's like a combination of an NGO and
an NPO.
So that's the thing. We don't know because right now, if for a PTY, then the PSL shouldn't have any rights on how much this thing should sell for. If we give PTY, then SARS should have carte blanche or the people who are in charge of selling this. So I see so many room for litigation. Bakasuwa Sarse, PSL as a whole, because this thing is handled badly and because they've been doing so many unprofessional things to this lady. Hakabuwa Molan, she clears her name. Or Totla, PSL bankrupt. 900 million bedway. Yojagi MPs and other Asians and five aero convoy call of Tassaco Chiefs Lane, the Sundowns. Can Mamotrella Humphrey?
What time I'm gonna jump in? Let me bring it to Maronza. Maronza.
Oti.
How are you, Maronza?
Can we try?
Yeah, no, Kahuta, Maronza. Network. Hey, Maronza, current network how is kicking. A request again. I'm gonna let you in. Let me go to Chwene. Welcome to the show.
Evening, George. How are you?
I'm good, thanks to you, my brother.
I'm alright.
Tell me about what you feel about this, man. Yeah.
Hey, it's a lot, right? But I also did some research actually as to what's going on with this Royal AM saga. Nah? The problem is not Royal AM. The problem is the owner of Royal AM. The owner of Royal AM owes SARS 40 million. Right? And the owner of Royal AM has had this case or this debt, SARS, since 2012. And it's been accumulating.
Yeah.
At no point did she go to SARS and say, guys, let's sit down. Let's mitigate. Let's see how I can pay you guys off. Let's make an arrangement, because SARS does allow you to make such arrangements, right? Number two, it was never supposed to get to this point. If she was someone in business that understands tax compliance, that understands Vert as to how Vert works, right? Because you cannot be charging customers Vert and keeping the money for yourself. That's illegal. You know, it's not a legal thing to do. And another one that she did was to also take on too much debt, right? And when you take on too much debt, at times like these, when you put under curatorship and auditors come and assess what your books look like, right?
Yeah.
You end up being like an Elon Musk in a way, right? Elon Musk doesn't have cash. We are told that he's the richest man in the world, yes. But his money is tied up somewhere. He doesn't have cash flow. To say, if I can go to him and say, give me 2 billion now, he cannot sign me a check at 2 billion.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So that's the issue also in Mamki's. And then while there were these ongoing battles, SARS, remember there was a court hearing that they were supposed to attend. They did not attend that court hearing. And then instead what happened is that the lady that was in charge of the proceedings, her car was shot at and she survived, right? Investigations go on. What happens? They go to Mom Kiz's house. They find guns and ammunition without licenses. Now, it goes back to say, now the hands of the PSL are tied, because now, you see, it's a legal matter. Now, it also has, what do you call this?
Implications.
Implications, in a sense that now there's an investigation that must be concluded. 2, the curatorship will happen, yes. SARS also want their money, but now they're looking at the assets that they can sell. So the biggest asset that she owns is Royal AM, because Royal AM is tied to a status which is a certain value. It's tied to those what you call training facilities, which have a certain value. It's tied to a sponsorship from municipality, which is a certain value. it's also tied to a grant, which is a certain value, right? So now they're looking at it like this: okay, what immovable assets can we take? The biggest asset is Real AM. You understand? So they place that under curatorship. But Real AM does not owe SARS. The owner is the one that owes SARS. So I don't know why they could not what you call separate the two, you know. So I don't even understand much about the law of separation, but I know once you register an entity, the liability falls on the director of that entity. So there's a lot that's going on, and some of these things are political. So what needs to happen is that they need to get Relium off her hands, right? And once they can be able to do that, then she can also fight other battles, you know?
Yeah.
Because now the most affected is Real AM. Why? Because it's a most valuable asset at the moment. So what needs to happen is that, like you're saying, the PSL needs to say, okay, let's take over this team. It's under curatorship, but we have administrators that are qualified. We have people that can run this team up until the end of the season. You know, they're getting a grant every month. They go, they check, okay, the liabilities and expenses of this team every month, Kebokan. You know, they just take them through that line. But you see, South African football does a thing. It's so political in a way, right? Because there are people that are saying it can be done, they can help her. But I think there's someone that's pulling the strings that's saying, now, hold a bit, wait a bit, you know, and they're doing it on purpose, you know. And that's the sad part about it, because part of this is so politically motivated, you know, and she could have gotten out of this way back, you know, before it got to this point, because this debt has been reoccurring, and she was just, you know, living freely. Maybe she had bad advisors, you know. I think that's another problem, that when you get into such business, you need to have people that are level-headed with good heads over their shoulders, so that when they advise you, you are able to make the right decisions, you know. And people,
You are going into deep waters. Don't drag
but
me
I'm
into
just
deep
saying,
waters.
sorry, my brother, but people take SARS like,
Yeah.
you know, when they're dealing with SARS, they're thinking you're dealing with the guy next door, you know. But if they can really go and check at what SARS has done to a lot of people, you know, and I'll just name drop, one of them was Julius Malem, you know. If people can just take Julius Malem as an example as to what SARS did to that guy, you know, your Brett Cables, you know, all, I'm that old.
Hey, I'm hearing these names and I'm like, hey, Chief.
Yeah, you know, your Tony and Guineas, they've been dealt with, you know. And I think it was just her lesson to say, Ish, now, okay, fine. This is a debt that I need to face up. How do I move, you know, without affecting my assets? You know,
But I wanna
could've-
I wanna take it back to the football side, just very quickly. PSL then, if it's something that has been happening since 2012, can we speak about the PSL and say, hey, Mara, currently your vetting processes are not good enough? Because a similar thing happened with TTM. Bought a team, or bought Vets fell away, got rid of all of the contracts that came with that. Well, they bought the team, if I'm not mistaken, completely with the status. And then it fell away. Turns out that our owner didn't have enough money to carry this thing. Shouldn't the PSL be vetting a lot better? Especially with some of these owners, that have public things that we all know about.
Yeah. The problem is that the vetting, remember, is done by third party companies, right? And I don't know how the vetting is done, but I'll make an example. Right. If I go to the PSL with a certain company, right, to buy status, right, like with Marumo Gallants, what they did now, I don't know if you know that the director on the books of the current Marumo Gallants is the daughter of Abram Silo. Abram Silo is not on those CK documents.
Yeah.
So meaning the person that they vet was the daughter of Abramsil, not Abramsil, right? So with Royal AM, it could have been the same. That it's owned, it's co-owned by Andy Lempisane, right?
Yeah.
The director. But also there's something that's called ownership, right? Andy Lempisane could be the director. Sean Kaizer could be the owner. You get what I'm saying? So now I think that's where the problem lies. We need to find a way of saying, do we separate ownership and directorship? Or is directorship and ownership the same thing? I don't know
But
if that
then
makes
isn't
sense.
SARS, then isn't that way you maybe, now I feel like some of these things are very easy to find out. Like, isn't that then where you go to SARS and say, hey guys, as part of my vetting, all of you guys are part of this. And I mean, when SARS is now taking over, they're going, hey, yonki into. You know what I mean? And they've got their reasons. I guess they've got the investigators and all of that stuff. But shouldn't that be part of vetting? That, guys, over and above the fact that you have the money, shouldn't it be, okay, not where does the money come from, but is this sustainable going forward? I know that, like, for example, in other leagues, you have to have a certain amount of money in escrow. And that money has to be, it has to be able to cover a team for a certain amount of years. And every couple of years or every year, we come back and we check that money and say, okay, how much do you have now? Can you pay from that? Like, for example, in the NFL, money rarely comes from the owners directly. It comes from the fund that they have to set up. And it has to make sure that that money, one, can't be touched if things happen to you, and two, is enough to cover all of these things that we're going to do. These are meant to be basic things. I mean, Abo Dr. Irvin Khoza, Abo Dr. Kaizer, a bunch of the people, John committees. You know, I'm naming some of the people. Abo Stellies, you know, it's owned by a thing that's owned by a thing that's owned by another. Shouldn't these things be easy things? Or is it really that the PSL was so desperate to get Bloemfontein Celtics off of the books that they went, "Aye, guys, anyone?"
Yeah, you know, I made a comment that a lot of our football decisions are politically motivated. You know, and I think that's where we've gotten some of these decisions so wrong, right? Because it's the same as Bloemfontein Celtics. You know, it was never supposed to have been sold in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you looked at the book of Celtics, the books, right, their abilities, their assets, the income generation, and how much they're able to make when they host home games, you know, someone sitting right there at the top could have made a decision to say, okay, you know, let's go to is it the PIC?
Yeah.
Right? And that's what's happening in Saudi, in a lot of countries. You go to the PIC, you take money, you back Bloemfontein Celtics, it generates the money, whatever profits that they make or proceeds, you take it back to the PIC. You know, you get people that really understand football to take care of footballing decisions. You know, and I think also another problem that Royal AM is facing right now, it's the people that were in decision making areas, right? And I don't know, I don't want to sound cocky, but I'll make an example. When this whole thing was starting out, the people that were around Wandile, it was about, who's that guy, man? There's this popular guy, he's a DJ now, Kichumia Andile.
Okay.
You know, yeah, you could see from there, you know, they say, show me your friends and I can tell you your future. You know, the people that were in that circle, for me, were not people. Bona, George, you got such a big investment. You know, you need to find a friend that's a CA at least, that understands the laws and the rules of money. You know, you get a tax lawyer. You know, you get people. You cannot go and fight FIFA with a divorce lawyer. I'll make an example, and that's one of the mistakes that they made.
but Chede, shouldn't we have to move on, but
Yeah.
shouldn't the league make sure that these things are set? Because I think I'm scared of we're chasing owners and we're chasing people that buy football teams. But at the top of the head of the thing, the mother organization, shouldn't they be the ones that are trying to safeguard the league and say, we can't have these things happen by mistake? You know what I mean? Like I believe Chelsea's vetting for is it Clear Lake? For Clear Lake to buy Chelsea, they had to go through 6 months of vetting. And it was different hoops you have to jump through. And it's not just money, it's also you as an owner and what is your background and what is this and what is that and who is that? You know what I mean? Like they go through such depth that these mistakes can't necessarily happen so easily. And for a league that we lost bits, Bidvest went, you know what, guys, this is no longer a profit-making thing for me. We're pulling out money. Vits died. You know what I mean? We go through owners who 1 year they've got money, the next year they don't have money. The team dies.
And that's a big problem that we're also facing. Why are our football teams owned by people? A sole director can be an owner of a team. That's where we get it wrong. The ownership structure, it's where we get it wrong, and that's where we are failing. We cannot have 16 families own 16 teams in the country. I'm just making an example. There needs to be a way to say, okay, guys, how are we now going to facilitate ownership of teams of our league, right? Because there's a lot of money that comes through sponsorship. Where does that money go, right? So that money is distributed amongst those families. You get what I'm saying? And players aside, but I'm just saying in terms of ownership, we need to find a way that says, okay, this is the ownership, of our team. I'll make an example, Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yeah.
And maybe that's another thing we need to look at.
Yeah.
Mamelodi Sundowns, it started Kachelota fraud. Someone who defrauded Standard Bank.
Zolama Ove, the legend.
Exactly.
Robin Hood.
You get what I'm saying? And then it went to Abu Chiklas. Now it's in the hands of Motsepe, but he's taking care of it.
Chiklas via auction, I've just learned.
Yeah. It was via auction also, because they had to pay Standard Bank some of that money. It was an ongoing court case, that was happening there. But that's the thing, George. If you look at Swallows Bopanyaza by Rekile, and then after they bought a status from someone, got promoted, renamed the club Swallows FC for the 1 year. They looked at the liabilities, they're like, okay, this team still owes people here and there, and then it comes back the one season, Sele Moroka Swallows, and then the other season they've sold it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now it's in the hands of someone. So now, as an entity, you see how who are footballers, where they make a living out of this. So we need to find a way of saying football should be more of a franchise.
Okay.
A franchise business.
For time I'm gonna
run
jump in.
Like a franchise business.
Yeah.
And make sure that the structure is solid. Favor Kaizer, khoza, I'll sit at the top. I've been here, I'll sit at the top because no. Let's find a way of rebuilding this football business in South Africa.
For time I'm gonna jump in there, Chere. Last part of the show, guys. Last part of the show. Hey, the comments there's some heavy things being discussed here. Okay, guys. Last part of the show. I know every time I start the show, I always say we dabble in European football every now and then. So to make good on that promise, I want us just to check in. I want to check in and let's speak a little bit about the teams that we look at that side. So how do you feel about how your favorite team is performing? No, it's a new round, Concerts, it's a new round. So guys, please feel free to jump in and request. Also, kupari gifty. What I'm looking for is for people to jump in and tell me, how do you guys feel about your international team? So whether you support Manchester United, whether it's City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Barcelona, Real Madrid, tell me, how are you guys feeling about your team at this point of the season? Now, for me, I'll just start while people request. For me, hey, Gunzima, guys, it's deja vu all over again. I know this feeling. I'm an Arsenal fan, so it seems like after the West Ham loss over the weekend, 11 points away from Liverpool with 3 points, with a game in hand, I guess. It seems as though we're in the same situation that we were in last season with Manchester City, where we were chasing them, or we led at some point, and things got turned around in the business end of the season. That is where we started losing points, and then we ended up following. Not only is it deja vu from last season, it's deja vu from a very long time ago, guys. When Leicester City won the league, Arsenal were in the same place. So I guess for my Arsenal fans that are in the comments, what do you guys think about this conversation about Mikel Arteta? 5 years in, almost £1 billion spent, and hasn't won a trophy since 2018. Ten Hag has 2 trophies, fired. A couple of people have won some other different things. How do you guys feel about that? And also, feel free to jump in. Feel free to jump in. Let's have a conversation about this. Jude says Manchester United SA football is not that professional. Hey, Kari, you guys want to come in here? Okay, let me see. Ownership of football teams don't child's play, especially in South Africa. Oh, you guys are still there. Want to come in here? Okay, let me see. Concierge, how are you? Man,
I'm good. How are you, Mr.
Kitchinja topic, man. Kitchinja topic. Okay, which team are you looking at that side?
Personally, I'm a Liverpool fan.
Hello, shame. You guys are happy, most.
Very happy. I'm even fat.
What is Liverpool getting right that everybody else seems to be struggling with? You look at Manchester United, you can't even see them until you go to page 2 of the log. You look at Arsenal, we've been, league drought for so long. What is making Liverpool so competitive?
What I think Arne Slot did very well was when he came into Liverpool, he did not change anything. He just continued from where Jurgen Klopp left it with a few additions, and he did not sign any new players because he was happy with how the team is playing, right? That meant the players are familiar with each other, they are familiar with the style of play, and then just from one coach to another, it's just continuation. There's nothing new, there's nothing hectic. We just continue from where we left off and just be consistent.
Yeah.
So for me, it has been those aspects that I've seen. Just because,
So tell me, you're running. You've got a great running. You're doing well in the Champions League, I believe. Number 1. Going to be number 1. You're number 1 in the EPL. We've seen this before, where there was a point where Liverpool was in for a quadruple. We know Arne Slot hasn't been able to win. Hasn't won one of the major trophies. He's going to be leaning a lot on the senior players. How do you feel about that? Do you think that Abu Mohamed Salah and Abu Van Dijk can carry this team to winning a Champions League or a league or both?
According to the current squad and how they've been playing and how they've played for the team and for each other, I believe this year it will be a first time for Arne Slot. There's a first time for everything.
Yeah.
So I believe this is his first season where he'll win major trophies with Liverpool. I think all the players now, the way they are playing, the way they play for each other, the way they represent the team, I believe there's that hope that both my teams from the PSL and the EPL, they'll be winning the Champions League and the league.
Hey, man. Makased says, I'm not happy with Arsenal, but I wouldn't make any changes. Oh, Makased. Okay, Makased, what in the comments, what would make you change something at Arsenal? What would make you fire Mikel Arteta? Let me go to Bongs.
Yes, Oti.
Are Orkanti, man. Orkantu, kenakai, man. Oh, favor thing.
Manchester United, the Red Devils. Can I let the strikers thing out?
Oh, Rinka team ya hao, man. Amorim, taking over a tough job there.
Everyone that comes there, but Graham said it's only tough.
Yeah.
It's not the first coach re bileng le yona. Se re tswa lobo the special one re ba leleka re lata bo Fankgale re leleka. Ever since Sir Alex Ferguson a tsamaya, things have been bad at Man United.
Yeah.
And most of the fans ba blame the Glazers. They think the Glazers tshwantse ba rekise club to someone who's better, who can change the team to be what the team was before. Before these coaches ba fitla ba batla.
Yeah. No, go on.
Carry on.
No, Nakere Mara little staking Ineos, the gym, what?
Lena things are not changing because bona Ten Hag hana le teng o trelo tena Manchester United into Ajax Amsterdam because hana le Ajax na khona winner o rekela bo Mazraoui, all these Ajax players that rekang bo Santos, they were not even performing very well when they were at United. Look at Rashford, we had to loan Rashford out, and now Rashford is performing well at Aston Villa. Bon, we are struggling. We bought a second-rated player. We thought in Haaland, the same thing as Haaland is doing. We are struggling. They are always crying. Our bench, young players, we don't even have any experience besides one player. Lindelof can fella the experienced one. I start of work at goalkeeping department alone.
Yeah.
Same situation as Kaizer Chiefs in the goalkeeping department. Stress.
So Kupa Bongs, do you think, similar to when you bring up Kaizer Chiefs, do you think that it's a case of le Ferguson? You want Manchester United culture to stay Manchester United culture, and nobody wants to come in and maybe make some changes. Proper changes.
Exactly what you're saying.
Changes.
We are still holding back to the pastor. No, Sir Alex Ferguson won us all those 13 titles. We were 20 Premier League titles. We were winning Champions League, qualifying for Champions Leagues. We were doing very well like about the FA Cup. We're still holding back to the past instead of moving on to the future.
Now, can I give you my thoughts before I go back to Hansel? I think the problem with Manchester United now is similar to Arsenal.
Right.
When you've had a coach or a manager that has been there for over.
Yeah, carry on. Oh. Network. Damn it. Network.
Can you guys hear me at least? I think if you can hear me, apologies, I don't know what's happening here, but can you guys hear me though?
I can hear you.
Okay, I think what I'll
I can hear you,
do,
Mr. Oti.
let me just see if I can't get the camera online. Okay, so I was saying, guys, the point I was making There we go. The point I was making is that, when you've had somebody for over 20 years, they've got a certain control. And I think Sir Alex Ferguson had such a control of the club that you started to realize that there were some people that were stealing a living. At the club. So it's guys who, you're a technical director, but you know that your technical directorness, Fergie's the one who makes the signings. You are a team manager. You know that the management of the team comes down to Sir Alex Ferguson. So when you lose somebody of that power, you start to see how bad the club was. I'll speak about my own club. We passed through Abo Raul, I'm forgetting his name, Raul, Don Raul. We passed through Abo Edu, who are learning right now. We had people come in and out. Gazidis was at the club. Hi guys, I don't know what's happening now. I have no idea. I am frozen, but as long as you guys can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah,
Mr.
I think
Uchi.
I'll just keep it like this. Apologies, guys. I seem to be having some issues there, but as long as you guys can hear me. So what I was saying was that for me, one of the problems of doing that is that now you see how much your club doesn't have people, and at that point you have to make a decision. Hansel, if you look at Liverpool, for example, there was a hard reset. So before Klopp came in, people look at Klopp and think that it was only the coach that was changed at the time when Liverpool made their changes, bringing in Klopp. But the truth is that they fired a lot of people in the back. There was a lot of people that were let go. I believe Michael Edwards, if I'm not mistaken, was promoted and he became the new chief executive. They changed the way that they transfer, the way that the scout, they changed all of those different things, right, to go in a specific direction. The moment you don't have a full direction or full commitment to a direction that you're taking, that's when the club fails. And I think that is what Manchester United is going through. Every year there's a different change. Okay, Woodward leaves. Dan Ashworth has been brought in. Dan Ashworth, I believe, is on shaky water right now. He goes. But while he's there, Ten Hag was there. But before Ten Hag, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was brought in because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer understands what happens, or is meant to understand what had happened when Sir Alex Ferguson was there. There's so many places where the club is being pulled that you don't have a cohesive idea. And I think that is what's happening at Manchester United. That is what's happening at Arsenal to a degree. That is what's happening at Chelsea to a degree. That ever since Kamba, what's his name? Abramovich. And they got rid of Abu Maria Gorenovska. They got rid of all of those people. There's not been one passage. Everybody is pulling in different ways. Todd Bowley wants to make signings this year, but then he goes and signs another person to come in and make signings. But then the following year, it's a different person. Oh, on top of that, you still have a different coach. Concierge, I don't know if you get what I'm saying here, that, a lot of the clubs don't have a vision. And I think what Liverpool did so well in their transition was to make sure that, guys, we know more or less what we want to do. Actually, we know a lot of what we want to do, and we're going to commit to it.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly, Mr. Uti. It's been what I've been trying to say on these other people's lives. You see, once as a team and as management, you lack a succession plan and you lack adaptability, then you're always going to encounter problems. Because football as a sport is continuously evolving in such a way, or if you don't keep up, you'll be left behind. And you would think maybe the problem is the coach or is the players, or else the system itself needs improvement, needs adjustment, needs alterations here and there. So basically what we are saying, I think we are right on the spot. I totally agree with what you are saying, because a lot of teams now are struggling and they're suffering, and they think the problem is the coaching staff or the players. They keep chopping and changing, and regardless of whatever they are doing, their efforts to change the setup of the technical team, the team is still struggling. So it shows that the problem is not there. The problem is at the core. They lack adaptability, they lack vision, they lack succession. So that's why they keep on being stuck in the same place, regardless of the change of personnel. I totally agree with you there.
Tell me about Pep. What do you think about what's happening with Pep?
Personally, I think he's out of ideas. He's stubborn. He's sticking to his old ways of playing, where else he has new players that I think are not really going to adapt to the way that he plays. And also the way he's playing like he has his old players. Like you can't play maybe, let's say, who is this a Haaland, like you are playing maybe a Messi, right?
Yeah.
You must do what we call player profiling. You must understand the player's strength, the player's weaknesses, and the players that play around them. Or do they link up? Do they cover each other's weaknesses? Do they cover each other's strengths or whatever? You understand? So for me, there's lack of cohesion in his team. There's a lack of like what can I say, ambition. They've been winning for so long that they have not gotten used to losing. When they start losing, they start panicking, and then they start losing the momentum. Basically for me, I think that's that. He's being stubborn, hard-headed. He must adapt to the kind of players he have now and make do with what he has, other than stop complaining, saying, give me my players, I will win what. No, that's not an excuse. As a coach, you must be flexible as much as we expect players to be also flexible and adaptable to all the situations that might be impacting their play.
You know what my thing is? I think, firstly, Pep broke his own rule. You know, he's never stayed at a club for this long. And he always used to say that, you know, I'm coaching this club for a certain amount of time. Then I need to go, because obviously ideas run out and things like that. But also your voice, man. It's hard to get your voice across. Last time he took a sabbatical from Barcelona before going to Bayern. And then he did his 2 or 3 years, 2 years or 3 years at Bayern before joining Man City. So I think this is Pep for the first time going through what it means to be a long-term manager. And this is where you give a lot of credit to managers like Sir Alex Ferguson, that for 26 years, every year you could find something new, or every couple of years you could refresh. And so Alex Ferguson used to say that, no, guys, after a couple of years, you have to move some people out. You have to bring in new people. I think it was Gavin Hunt who spoke about it in the context of South Africa, and he spoke about Kaizer Chiefs, when he was coaching Kaizer Chiefs. He was in an interview with Uliolo, where he said that my idea was that some of the guys just need to move out. Sometimes you need to bring in new voices, new people. New people are going to listen to you. Sometimes the culture is too much, is held on too much by the old guys, and they don't know how to move on from it. Or you go into a losing streak and you don't know how to get out of that losing streak because of these issues, right? So I think that is a very interesting thing with Pep. Bongs, what do you think is happening with Pep?
Pep bothata ba ko re no o dutse too much at Man City, and he's been too comfortable at Man City.
Yeah.
And now the players tsa nang tsana le tsona, they are getting old. It's time for a squad overhaul. Change of players le bona are needed in there.
And Bongs, what do you think of Arsenal?
Arsenal, for Mikel Arteta, he has done all he can do for the club. It's up to the club gore na ba mo fa tšhelete gore jwanong a kgone go reka di-players tse tla thusang team gore e fitlhe to the finish line, because Arsenal was not even competing coach wa ke Arsene Wenger. They were not in a position where they can compete with the likes of Liverpool. So So you had to come in after learning a little bit from Pep Guardiola. So also with this knowledge I learned from Pep to try and help us now to become what Arsenal is today.
I want to bring in Lisedi. Lisedi, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, thanks. I mean, good, thanks.
Lisedi, I want to ask you, firstly, what team do you support so we know how to treat you overseas?
I am Arsenal next season FC, you know, man.
And then locally?
Locally, even worse, Chiefs.
We're in the same boat. No, we're in the same boat. That's fine. Listen, tell me about Arsenal. What do you feel about next season FC, as you call it?
I've already conceded the league to Liverpool. Honestly, there's no hope. Honestly, for me, it's like the owners let us down in Jan when we genuinely needed reinforcements. Like even we needed depth reinforcements, a striker, anyone. But you see our next season FC, so we'll fix our last season's problems next season. So that's how it is with our team.
When there's new problems. Okay, but tell
When
me,
there's
Lisedi, at what point do you look at Arteta as an accomplice? Because it's been 5 years, and as much as we are having our owners, they've opened up the wallets, man. I mean, 100 million Rice, 60 million Havertz, all of those guys. At what point do we look at, Mikel Arteta, who's now a manager, one of the key, the steering person for the transfer committee? Ed, who's now leaving because he's angry because he can't even technical direct. Apparently, Arteta's the one that runs transfers. At what point do we say, "Oh, God, guys"?
But I think let's look at the facts.
Okay.
The constant person that's been there from like even Wenger times has been the owners. Like we've changed Emery. I understand Emery didn't get the transfer power that Arteta has, but it will always going to be like what's this? We're just changing managers, and when managers need this, and you can see with Arteta, I'll say this: the amount of money that he needed was to fix past mistakes that were made by managers and the owners with certain purchases of players. Like we couldn't even be able to sell Bellerin. We always had to cancel contracts and just be at a loss with our transfer budgets, with our transfer projects. So honestly, I understand. I feel like we could give Arteta the next season as his last chance, because if anything doesn't work out, let's just change again, because that's how
6 years. 6 years.
What can we do, man? Honestly, it's like I am at a point where I just want to see I just want to see a Champions League or a league. Like FA Cups and League Cups will soften the blow, but it would, because it doesn't mean that we're going to have a great future because we won an FA Cup or a League Cup. For me, I just feel like it just softens the blow. It's like bandaging a shotgun wound. That's it, NJ.
Okay, stay on. I want to ask Hansel, how do you feel about Arsenal?
Mr. Uti, for me, there was even a point where I would stop supporting Liverpool and support Arsenal when they were chasing Man City for those 2 seasons where they became number 2. I had hope that they would win the league, because it's been so long. I've tried to support them, but at this point in time, I've given hope. There were a time where you would say, no, they are promising, they are there. They are not losing much games. They are trying to win each and every game. If they don't win, they draw. Even if they lose, we'd say, no, man, these people, they really fought for this. Even though they lost, their performance would say volumes about what they were trying to do. But now I think they've lost hope. They've given up. They are no longer the Arsenal that I know. Even if they were trailing by 2-0 during halftime, when it's about 70 minutes, there will be 2. It will be 2-2, or there will be 3-2 winning. But now I think that momentum is gone. Mikel Arteta has tried his best. I think he should move on, because even his squad, I think it has continuously changed. Bonketia have left, and sometimes also injuries they play a big role in that team. So I think Mikel Arteta is time to move on. He has tried. He have brought Arsenal to new heights, although they did not win anything. But he tried his level best. It's time he moves on, according to me.
You know, the last time we won a league was 2003-4 season. Is it a culture problem, concierge? Is it a culture problem at Arsenal that is the problem? Or okay, you can bring in anybody, but the culture of the team now is this.
I think it's the culture. It's also the personnel that they bring in the teams. People, they don't have the same vision towards football. People see football in different ways, and people also have different visions in terms of progression and succession. Even if you check the players that he had, Mikel Arteta, when he took over Arsenal, he had a fairly young squad, which was very energetic, and they were fighting. I think now it has gone back to default settings. Now it's like they are no longer that motivated. They don't no longer have that momentum. They do no longer have that belief that they could win anything. At some point, we thought they would even win the Champions League. But now they've reverted back to default settings. I don't see anything. I don't see them winning any major league, any major trophies soon. But we can keep hoping.
It's the hope that kills. Let me bring in TC for this one. TC, welcome to the show.
Yes, George, how are you, man?
I'm good, thanks to you, my brother.
No, I'm good, my brother. Thanks.
Tell me. Well, currently we're speaking about Arsenal. How do you feel about Arsenal?
Yeah, I think this season for them is a missed opportunity. When you look at how Man City have played this season, the issues Man City have with the squad being clearly old and a bit fatigued from all the success. Liverpool, they were coming into a transitional period where they had this new coach, Arne Slot. As a Liverpool fan, I thought we'll end up maybe number 4 or 5. But Arsenal, I thought they would win the league, but they missed the opportunity. And I think it goes back to last year in June, July, August, where they knew going into the new season, they need a top striker. Victor Osimhen was available. They could have gone anywhere in the world and got a striker to come help out because they knew that they lacked depth, especially in that number 9 role. But they decided to stick with Kai Havertz. They decided to go sign Raheem Sterling for whatever reason, I don't know. They made poor decisions last year in the summer. And as the season went on, Gabriel Jesus gets injured. Saka gets injured, I think sometime in December. They start getting injuries to key players in those positions, and now they can't get goals. The difference between Liverpool and Arsenal right now is that Liverpool have better depth in attacking positions than Arsenal. And I think that's where they lost the league.
Is this not a replay, Maratisi? Is this not a replay? Because when you speak about Sterling, I think about Willian. When you speak about Willian, I think about David Luiz. When I think about David Luiz, I look at Jorginho sitting on the bench. When you speak about needing a striker, I get flashbacks of Ozil. When you speak about not closing gaps in the team, I think about when we had a banging attack, but we didn't have a good defense and nobody wanted to go sign defenders. Isn't this, man, just deja vu, man? The same thing hey, when you speak about Liverpool right now, maybe about to take the league, I think about when Leicester took the league, and the theory behind that was the moment, I think it was Man United at the time, or Man City, the moment one of them falls, we're going to take that space. That's our year. Now Man City has fallen this year, Liverpool is over. Like, hi, man, isn't this, man, just the same script over and over and over again? We talk about youth of players. I'm sorry, we talk about youth of players. You've got a young Odegaard, you've got a young Saka. Yeah, they're going to grow with the team. What. Look at Saliba. I've seen this before. Wilshere, Ramsey, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Chambers, Gibbs. I remember they had that picture of them and they were supposed to be the future. Hi, man, aren't we just retreading the same thing over and over again, man?
You're absolutely 1000% correct. Let's say as a football fan, we've seen this every year with Arsenal, haven't we? first of all, the recruitment is flawed. They don't seem to have the knowledge of how to buy key players in key positions. You know, we can give the example of Man City now. Man City, they're not going to win the league. They're not going to win. They might win an FA Cup. I'm not sure if they're still in the FA Cup. But they went down and spent almost 200 million in January. They spend a lot of money buying Mamouche and some other players to try and get them to be competitive again, right? Arsenal don't seem, and I don't want to make it a money issue, but Arsenal don't seem to want to spend. And when they do spend, they seem just to buy randomly. I mean, you mentioned a long list of players that some of them, you guys didn't even need. I remember long ago, back to the banter era of Arsenal when Arsenal Fan TV was shining. You guys signed Yaya Sanogo, someone like that, when you could have signed other better players than him. And Arsenal at the time, the team was strong enough, but it was just a team that was consistently finishing in the top 4. But instead of signing UCL quality players, you go and sign Yaya Sanogo, other people. I remember there was a guy called Colin Chambers who played for Arsenal. It's been there seems to be a big issue with recruiting the right type of players, and I'm very disappointed because I'm gonna go back just not so long ago. Marcus Rashford was available for you guys. He said it out. I want to leave Manchester United. Arsenal could have gone for Rashford. They could have gone for Rashford and say, we need someone like this. Yes, Rashford has his issues, but at least get someone who is recognized as a number 9 or who can play at least as a number 9 in the Premier League and has goals to score. But for whatever reason, you guys ignored him, and there he is at Aston Villa. Aston Villa are not going to win the league. They're not going to win the Champions League, but he's there playing there. Why? How does Arsenal allow that to happen? How do you guys look yourself in the mirror to say, there's a quality Premier League striker with a proven record in the Premier League, but we decided to ignore him and we just stuck with nothing?
It's because we've got a fetish for development, but I want to move off of my club because it hurts now. I want to go to Boggs. Boggs, tell me about Chelsea. Enzo Maresca, what do you think is happening that side?
Once upon a time, they were called a team that was going to win the league. So they decided that we are not in the title race. We are just playing for fun. Look at them now. Every time they are losing. Their last loss was a 2-1 loss here last weekend.
Yeah.
So now I think Chelsea need to start selling some players and rebuilding again.
Mara, rebuild again. Pella, when they rebuilding Cabo Matriki, when they rebuilding with some of the people they had signed.
Maybe they signed the wrong players. They are not the players worth playing for Chelsea.
Can I ask you, is there a chance then for some non-traditional Big 6 teams to take these gaps, man? Are we seeing a change here?
Yeah, change is happening because Nottingham Forest used to be teams that were always relegated. Now they are winning Bomber 7 nearly and being number 3 in the league. Whereas both teams that are City now are starting to have a 12 losing streak, 12 game losing streak. Guardiola, they are red in the face. United, they are now in a relegation battle. Both Tottenham used to be Champions League teams. Now they are fighting in the relegation zone. Things are changing in the league.
Okay. Will money stop anything here? Will money stop these teams from taking the next step?
Yes, money will. If you get the right person to come in and bring in the money, maybe Saudi money or oil money or some bargaining those players from America, basketball, maybe buy part of the club, but this is maybe it could work.
Okay.
Yeah, but LeBron James could buy some stake.
Okay, he's got a
could buy
stake
some
in
stake of the
Liverpool.
club. Yeah, Wabon. Now they are being successful. they are trying to win the league right now. They were number 1 in the Champions League. Look at them. They are playing very well. They have changed players, let go of Firmino, and now they are building with new players. Wabon, they have new players in the team.
Okay. I want to bring in Lissani. Tell me what you think about Chelsea and Could this be a new dawn of Aston Villa becoming the new big sixes? Bo Nottingham Forest out of nowhere? Bo Newcastle?
Newcastle is replacing Chelsea. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I feel like right now they're gonna have the power to spend the money, like Saudi money. Like Roman Abramovich times now for Newcastle. It's like
Mara,
who do
there's
we want?
PSR. There's financial fair play.
I've given give them 2 more seasons of just grinding it out until PSR just leaves them alone. Then they're just gonna be signing. They're just gonna be getting players galore for Newcastle.
But is it
because if Newcastle
no go on.
Because if Newcastle just get top 4, they don't need to sell Isak. Isak is just be like, let's just give him a 9-year deal again. Just give him a 9-year deal and just stay. Like, because they've got a good spine with their midfield, their attackers. They just need to maybe fix their centre backs and their full backs. And obviously they're already agreeing terms with reliable goalkeeper in Trafford. So it's like they're getting to higher peaks right now. Newcastle, honestly.
Okay. TC, are you still with me?
Yes, my brother, I'm still here.
Tell me about Chelsea and tell me, could this be a new dawn for the EPL and teams that are non-traditionally top 6 teams? Are there spaces?
I'll start with the Chelsea story. I think they've become victims of their own previous success. Remember, in the days of Mourinho and then Carlo Ancelotti followed him and all those guys, they used to kind of spend the money and success players. I think the step that they've missed now is that when in spending, you still need to spend money correctly and accurately. I mean, pounds. It's a bit ridiculous. Let's just do this quickly. It's a bit ridiculous the amount of money Chelsea have spent over the last 3 or 4 years since this new guy took over. But because the main issue is the sporting director has not built the team the right way. They have not found the right coach. They signed João Felix. What was it? 45 million.
Yeah.
And then they put him on loan in 6 months later. He's on loan now, isn't he? At AC Milan.
Yeah.
So
they had the
shows us
sporting
something.
director. They had a crazy good sporting director. Was it a case of dismantling everything and not knowing?
I think that's where they got it. I think that's where they got it wrong. They wanted to dismantle everything and then just rebuild the success. I mean, you spoke about Arsenal now. It's 5-6 years of one coach. You know, we know in the EPL, success takes time. And that success, you need the right coach. You need, in most cases, you need the right director of football or a sporting director to work with that coach. Sign the right type of players, play the markets well, you know, with the salaries and the signing on fees and the transfer fees. But Chelsea haven't got that right at all. They've been overpaying for average players. Then they've got this ridiculously strong academy because they are one of the few academies in the world that actually go all over the world and bring in players. They go to Brazil and bring in a wonder kid. They were busy in South Africa with Emil Witboy. They do that. But the problem is when these kids get to 18, they get rid of them because they're signing other kids from other places for big money. It's difficult for them to build. I mean, if you think about the past, Jose Mourinho built that team. He built that club. 2004, 5, 6, he built that team. And other coaches came on and continued with that success. So now there's no succession of that previous plan. So they have to basically start it from scratch. And I don't know if Enzo Maresca is the right guy. I thought maybe with Pochettino, especially the way they finished the previous season, I thought maybe they could start rebuilding something, but they got rid of him. They got rid of other players, and then they signed other players, and now they're still loaning out players. I think with Chelsea, it's a hot mess. And then to answer your second question, look, there's a lot of investment in the Premier League. I think someone already spoke about Saudi money, oil money, you know, Americans also. There's a lot of money that's coming in. I think Newcastle were bought by some Saudi people. You know, I think Aston Villa as well have some kind of rich guy who's also owning. So it's possible that these teams are going to start coming up. And especially if they can get the right coaches involved. I mean, Unai Emery, for me, you know, we know what he did at Sevilla. We saw what he went to do at PSG. You know, unfortunately at Arsenal, he failed.
He
But
played in
he's
the
a
Europa final at least.
yeah, he did with Arsenal, ne? Yeah, I remember. I think he did. He's never been a bad coach. Obviously, the bigger clubs, or Arsenal's, Liverpool's, Man City's, it's always difficult for people like him. But he's a great coach. And then there's another guy there, Nuno Espirito Santo. We know him from Wolves, where he made Wolves. He basically made Wolves the second national team of Portugal.
Yeah.
And he brought them into the Premier League. He kept them in the Premier League. He had to leave, and then he went to Tottenham. It failed. Now he's at Nottingham Forest, and he's playing counter-attacking football week in and week out, and he's very successful with that. Extremely successful with that. So you can see that a lot of these teams have invested correctly in the right coaches. They're finding those little players that they're finding. And I see that as the years go by, I wouldn't be surprised if one season we do get a Newcastle winning the Premier League, or even maybe in another one of those Leicester seasons from a Nottingham Forest, or even Everton might surprise you at some point.
Okay. Well, as we say, in the name of the Father, the Son, Nuno Espirito Santo. Let me go to the concierge. Concierge.
Hey, Mr. Oti.
Yeah, Kupa Wikwale, man. What do you think of Chelsea? And then what do you think of the chances of smaller teams creating maybe a new Big Six?
Okay, Mr. Oti. I'm not sure if you are aware with the saying, a fish starts rotting from the head. With Chelsea, I think when they decided to restructure everything, they should have gotten a sporting director, a coach, or the staff actually that will also comprehend the players that they're gonna buy, because it's easiest to get a certain kind of a coach, and then the sporting directors also get will want certain players, and the coach will want certain players, where you'll find there's a tag of war for players between the coach and the sporting director.
Yeah.
So when you are restructuring your technical team, they must be in coherence, they must be in line, like they must have a one mind, one vision, the same set of skills, and then they must be looking at the one direction for me. And I think these small teams, now is their time, because a lot of these giants are sleeping. It's their time to make name for themselves. It's their time to win a few trophies, to make history for themselves, to get themselves there in the conversations, because these teams, they won't be sleeping forever. There will be a time where they will resurrect and then come and cause chaos again. A king might fall from grace, but he's still a king. They will come back and then fight for their place. So it's better they try and capitalize now, at least be in the Big Six, Big Five there. And when these small teams, when these giants wake up, they've already accumulated a few of those accolades that they solely deserve. Thank you, Mr. Oti.
Okay. Now, guys, I'm going to close it. Thank you so much, guys, for tonight. Thank you for joining me, those that were in the panel and those that were commenting. I know today was... I tried to give Mamelodi Sundowns fans a chance for them to speak about their team, since we got cut off early yesterday. But let's continue on. Here, Europe, really, Europe. Now I'm not a liar in my intro, but thank you guys so much. Thank you to those that gave gifts. Thank you to those that watched on YouTube as well, guys. The next episode of my podcast, episode 12 of my podcast, is out on YouTube right now. So please go and support, go watch. I touch on a couple of these topics that we've spoken about today. So please go support. Please like, share, subscribe, do all of those things, and send it all over the place. Let's try to grow as much as possible, because honestly, these are conversations that we don't see everywhere. And frankly, we need more of these conversations, especially on the local side. Remember that if Chiefs, Pirates, Mamelodi Sundowns, Bafana, Bafana are in action, I will be here covering that action with you. We'll be doing a watch along. You'll be able to jump in and speak to me as usual. Support, guys. And also, if you'd like to join the WhatsApp group, send me a DM and I'll give you the instructions of how to do it. But guys, thank you so much. I can't say the other word. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everyone.